We are a river city, a bold city, the First Coast, a place to create and to belong. Here, the sun shines a little brighter, and so do the people. We share a love for our region, a pride for Jacks, and a passion for the beautiful game, dedicated to giving everyone a sporting chance. Together, we will elevate soccer and sport in our community by lifting every voice. We are Sporting Club Jacksonville. We are Sporting Jacks.
Hello and welcome into the Sporting Jacks Report. Coming up, it's the final day of the USL Super League regular season. There are 3 teams battling for 2 playoff spots. We'll take a closer look. Plus, how the USLW team is making waves to open the season and how some youth teams are preparing for national tournaments. But let's start with the Champions League final. This afternoon, Inter Milan will face PSG for the biggest trophy in Europe. And to break it down now, let's welcome in Mauricio Ruiz. Mal, we've been following the competition for months, and these 2 teams have survived a grueling schedule. What are you expecting from today's final?
Cole, 2 teams really arriving in different fashions this year. We know Inter Milan and Serie A have just finished second place, losing to the Scudetto to Napoli. So this Champions League for them is their chance of capturing a major trophy this year. We know they've been here before, so there's an expectation for them. But on the other side, PSG have really dominated the French league for a long time, and we know that the Champions League is really their crown that they've missed on, and they've put together fabulous teams before. Remember when they've had Mbappe and Messi and Di Maria and Neymar, only not to get to where they are now and win it. So they've knocked on the door before, but this feels like their best chance to win. So I would favor PSG. Feels like they have more on the line getting to this point, but Inter Milan has surprised everybody so far, so I wouldn't be surprised if they win at the end, but I'll go with PSG in this one.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. We invite you to join us for the Champions League final watch party at Island Wing Company on Southside Boulevard. We'll be there this afternoon with prizes and giveaways, plus an opportunity for you to celebrate with your fellow soccer fans starting at 3 p.m. kickoff. Get there early, though. Island Wing Company on Southside Boulevard. We will see you there. It is time now for our USL Championship game of the week, and we go to Las Vegas where the Lights, last year's big story in the West, we're hosting this year's big story in the West, El Paso Locomotive. El Paso was at the bottom of the conference last year, but this year they're contending for the top spot. To Las Vegas we go, and the Lights trying to recover after a 5-0 loss to Sacramento in the previous game. El Paso unbeaten since April 13th. Early on, Las Vegas on the front foot. 7th minute, nice bit of passing from the Lights. It gets blocked out in front, but recovered by Johnny Rodriguez, and he scores with the right foot. It's 1-0 Las Vegas. 3rd goal of the season for Rodriguez. Half an hour later, El Paso pulls even. Watch a bad giveaway here by Las Vegas, and the Locomotive wastes no time in converting. Frank DeRoma winds up with it, heads down the right side, finds a little space, crosses it in for Wilmer Cabrera, who scores with a header. It's 1-1. That score would stand into the second half. 64th minute now. El Paso on the attack. A shot from distance, turned aside by Reiko Rosarina, but it falls to Roberto Avila, who picks out Cabrera, and Cabrera with his 2nd goal of the match. It's Cabrera 2, Las Vegas 1, and that's the way it ends. 9 goals on the season already for Cabrera, and a 5th straight game without a loss for El Paso. Mauricio, you've been impressed with what you've seen from El Paso so far this year. What's been the difference?
Yeah, Cole. I mean, there are a lot of good storylines in the early stage of the USL Championship, but certainly no better surprise than El Paso Locomotive at the moment. How are they doing it? How are they in 2nd place, only 2nd to New Mexico? You don't have to look that far to see that they're scoring goals. I mean, they're 21 goals for. They're also leaking a lot of goals. They're 16 goals against, which tells me they're a very entertaining team, to say the least. But they're scoring more at a rate than they're letting in, which is why they're climbing the ranks. And they started slow in the season. They're getting momentum. They're getting a really good rhythm to what they're doing. And right now, they look mighty strong. And team that was not looking strong the last couple of years, and they're back to it. And they have a great home crowd advantage down in El Paso. And they're a team certainly to look after.
All right, let's take a look at the standings. First, starting in the Western Conference, you see El Paso in second, just behind New Mexico United, with Tulsa and San Antonio in the top four. Lexington off to a very slow start this year. Not a huge surprise that the team coming into the USL Championship for the first time, but boy, struggling there to get things started. In the Eastern Conference, Charleston Battery continue to be the class of the league. I think you can say that they are the best team in the championship right now, with Lou City and Loudoun United hanging right behind. You see Miami there. We talked about it last week. They were in 7th last week, now down to 9th as they continue to work their way forward here in the USL Championship season. There is a lot of excitement around Sporting Jacks' USL W League team. The pre-professional women are off to a 3-0 start on the year. We're ranked number 4 in the country out of 93 teams. That's in the nationwide 93-team league. They dominated FC Miami 7-2 recently. They'll play away this afternoon at Fort Lauderdale United. Then on Tuesday, it's the home opener at 4 p.m. against Brevard Riptide. Mauricio, this team was great last year, and they're just as good, maybe even better this year.
I mean, Cole, what can we say about our ladies that we haven't said since last year when they're representing under the badge of Fleur de Lis? And now really give credit to the coaching staff and the technical department for recruiting such fantastic players. But the reality is these players now have something to play for. This isn't just a summer league team that they can play and get ready for the summer. Yes, you will work in that benefit as well for them. But these are players that can taste the opportunity to be seen and being coached at times by the professional coaching staff, because very quickly here, mid-July to August, preseason will start. So I imagine some of these players are thinking, who gets invited into preseason? Do I get a chance to train, potentially be given an opportunity to sign a pro contract? So it has to mean a little bit more to them than it did last year, but certainly great credit to the coaching staff and to the young ladies for performing at this level so far.
The League Two men's pre-professional team won on Sunday at Nona FC. Then on Wednesday at Brookhouse, the game was rained out with lightning. They'll play away at Inter Gainesville tomorrow, then travel to the Villages to face Brave SC on Wednesday before returning home on June the 7th for the first of 4 straight home games. Now let's turn to the Premier League, which wrapped up on Sunday. Liverpool, the champions, with Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, and Newcastle all claiming spots in the Champions League by way of a top 5 finish. Tottenham also earned a Champions League spot thanks to winning the Europa League. Mal, what was the biggest story of the year for you in the Premier League?
Yeah, cool. Just a different type of storylines in the Premier League. I mean, all over the place, from Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup to Man U and Tottenham being, not a relegation battle, being at bottom of the league. But Tottenham still getting a Champions League spot, as you mentioned, by winning the Europa League. I would say that the biggest story, for many different reasons, in my eyes, is Nottingham Forest. And it's a pity that they really just couldn't push through at the end when it really mattered, especially in the last game against Chelsea, when they had the opportunity to kind of get one more and get themselves into Europe. So I think it's going to feel difficult for them. It's the best season that they've had in a really long time. They kind of got themselves into kind of the royal family of the big clubs, if you would, but only to fall short. So hopefully this leaves a bit of a taste of we belong and we can get there again. But it's hard to win in the Premier League, and it's hard to be at the top. You want to give them credit for finishing as high as they did, but I think there's going to be a bit of a bitter taste in their mouth.
I think that's right. As for the U.S. men's national team, we do have some controversy to discuss. The star of the team, Christian Pulisic, is not going to play for the U.S. during the Gold Cup this summer, citing a need to rest after a busy season in Europe. He does have a hip flexor injury that he's been dealing with as well. Now, some former men's national team players have criticized Pulisic for the decision. Is the criticism fair?
Listen, I get it. Everybody wants to see the top stars playing when the national team plays, and especially in this build-up year to the World Cup, not having that many opportunities as a non-qualifying team because we're already in as a host nation. But these decisions are made in isolation, and I get why people want to see him there and why people may be upset that he's not. But, there are a lot of people that come up to the point of making a decision. Certainly Christian Pulisic and his family have a lot to say about it. He's the player. He's the one that has to feel like playing, whether physically or mentally or whatever it might be. But there's a lot of consultation that goes back to his AC Milan medical staff, the U.S. national team medical staff as well, and certainly consulting with him to see where he's at. Long term, we want him to be at the best. Short term, do we want him to be part of the national team? Yes. But what does long-term effect have if he is part of the national team while he's tired? at injury prone or the risk of injury because he's fatigued and has had a long season. So I'm okay with this decision. We don't have to be happy about it, but I know the decisions are not made in isolation.
All right, good thoughts there, Mal. If you haven't become a season ticket owner yet, you are running out of time to get the early bird pricing. Today is your last day to get the best price. Season tickets for Sporting Jack's inaugural USL Super League season start at $10 per game for students and go up to the field seats and premium hospitality. Starting tomorrow, June 1st, prices will increase, so don't wait. You can pay for your season tickets with an interest-free installment plan. Get all the benefits of season ticket ownership from your first payment. Be a part of the first professional women's team in Jacksonville. Go to sportingjacks.com or call 904-863-KICK to join the movement. Still to come, Becky Burleigh joins us to look at the final week of the regular season matches in the USL Super League. That's next as the Sporting Jacks report rolls on. Tonight marks the final day of the USL Super League's regular season. 3 games on Peacock. Lexington hosts DC Power, both teams out of the playoff chase. But the others will be crucial in setting the postseason. Dallas Trinity welcomes Carolina Ascent to the Cotton Bowl, while Fort Lauderdale goes across the country to face Spokane. These games and all the playoff games can be seen on Peacock. Let's take a look at the highlights from the penultimate week of action. We start with DC Power hosting Fort Lauderdale United. Fort Lauderdale looking for 3 points to help their playoff push, but it's Loza Ibarra who gives DC the early lead 1-0. Late stages of regulation, Fort Lauderdale starting to feel a little desperate. Long ball over the top. Look at the effort by Sabrina McNeil to chase it down and then capitalize. A huge goal for Fort Lauderdale. They salvage a point in a 1-1 draw. Then Fort Lauderdale had to turn around and head home for a match on Saturday. Another playoff contender, Dallas in town. 26th minute, Shania Gordon doing the work to get free, and she picks out Kiera Locklear. And Locklear puts it away, her 5th goal of the season. That is enough for Fort Lauderdale to earn the 3 points, a 1-0 final. And then Locklear, a little style with the goal celebration afterwards. Then Tampa Bay hosting DC. The Sun already with a playoff spot secured, looking to get a win to clinch the number 2 seed. Sidney DeCello gives Tampa Bay the first half lead. Second half, Tampa Bay looking for some breathing room, and the combination that has been so impressive for the Suns so far this season, Natasha Flint, beautiful ball over the top, and Cecilia Fleur scores her 11th goal of the season. She's just one off the top of the lead. Tampa Bay wins it 2-0, and the Sun clinched the number 2 seed in the USL Super League playoffs. Let's look at the standings with just those 3 games I mentioned still remaining to be played. Carolina and Tampa Bay have clinched playoff spots. Fort Lauderdale, Spokane, and Dallas all fighting for the final 2. Dallas with a point probably wouldn't be enough because Fort Lauderdale and Spokane will play. So unless things go Dallas's way, they really need a victory on the final game of the season. Fort Lauderdale has to travel a long way to take on Spokane. We welcome in Becky Burleigh now. Let's start with the W League team for Jacksonville. 3 wins in 3 games, and they have outscored the opposition 17-2. This has been a dominating performance, off to a great start, just as they did last year when they were number 1 in the country.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, I think they're just building on last year because they had a tremendous season then. And then to do that without 2 key players like the 2 you just mentioned is very, very impressive.
Well, it certainly would seem that being associated with a pro team has given the W League squad a little extra juice this year.
No doubt. I mean, when I think about, a lot of college players playing on these teams in the summer, for a lot of them, their ultimate goal is to play their college season and then eventually get drafted or enter into contracts. I guess draft is an old term at this point, but enter into contracts with some of these pro teams. And what better way to do that when you've got eyes on you in this environment?
All right, let's focus on the USL Super League. Coming down to the final day to determine which teams will be in the playoffs. 3 teams battling for 2 spots tonight. Just amazing.
Well, it's not a surprise that it's going to come down to the very end at all, because it seems like it has been like this the entire season, where the table has been so tight, particularly at the top. And, honestly, the names that are in contention still are not big surprises to me either. And I think it's pretty exciting that the 2 top teams have already clinched. Those are 2 teams we kind of expected to be pretty good from the very beginning. These teams that are battling, man, there's been some ups and downs for these teams, so it's going to be an exciting finish for sure.
Yeah, maybe fittingly, the last game of the season is going to have playoff implications as Fort Lauderdale has to travel the country to face Spokane, with both teams possibly needing a result.
Wow, I've got to give the nod to Spokane because that's a long travel trip. And Spokane has just had great form lately too. So that's who I would pick, but shoot, in this league, I don't think we know.
No doubt about it. All right, also this evening, the U.S. women's national team faces China. The U.S. will be without several top stars. What are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game because you honestly don't know what type of team China is going to put on the field either. I feel like they're in a little bit of a resurgence period at this point. But they've been kind of like, obviously their history has been tremendous, but their recent history has been less so. I think the U.S. will really look at this type of game to see, of these new people, who's going to stick and who's going to sort of find their way back into like a developmental squad.
Now, speaking of the U.S. women's national team, be sure to join us for a watch party on Tuesday night at Island Wing Company in the Bartram Market area. We'll have a special appearance by the USLW League team and maybe some more surprises. We'll see you Tuesday night at Island Wing Company for a U.S. women's national team watch party. If you sign up for season tickets now for the USL Super League season, you'll receive a limited edition inaugural season scarf. Be a part of the first pro women's team in Jacksonville history. Go to sportingjacks.com or use the QR code on your screen for more information. Still to come, our youth soccer spotlight, how some local teams are preparing for big national tournaments this summer. That's next as the Sporting Jacks report rolls on. The inaugural Sporting Jacks kit has been unveiled, and now you can order your own. Use the QR code on your screen to order your official Sporting Jacks shirt. You can also go to sportingjacks.com to buy other official team merchandise. It is time now for the Youth Soccer Spotlight, presented by the Bearded Pig Barbecue. Emerson Burris is here. Emerson, this week you're hearing from some of the Sporting Jacks Academy teams that are heading to national tournaments over the next few months.
Yes, there's so much exciting things to look forward to for this summer. From Fort Worth to Denver, all the way to Spokane, Sporting Jacks ECNL teams are chasing championships and college dreams. I spoke with two coaches leading top squads into their best moments yet, as more than a dozen teams prepare for national and regional tournaments this summer. More than a dozen teams from Sporting Jacks and Florida Elite Soccer Club are gearing up for national and regional tournaments across the country, showcasing the club's depth, talent, and commitment to youth development. That includes the 2012 Boys ECNL team, undefeated in conference play and Florida Cup champions.
Two things stood out throughout the season, and the first one is the grit. They have a grit and they want to achieve their goals. On top of that, they willingness to learn. These two things really stood out the entire season.
Coach Levo Guler's squad earned their spot at the ECNL regional playoffs in Fort Worth and the U.S. Club Soccer National Cup finals in Denver.
When you put lots of effort and being consistent in every session, and getting reward is priceless. And I'm very happy for the boys because definitely it is well deserved.
The girls' side is just as stacked, with both the 2009 and 2011 girls ECNL teams headed to the national playoffs in Seattle.
For the 09s, a few years ago, they was not one of the better teams in the league. So for them, it's more of a standout achievement because this is the first time they've ever qualified and the first time they've ever been, in the top 4, top 5 in the league.
The 2009s enter the postseason ranked in the top 5. Meanwhile, the 2011s are known for their intensity and internal competition.
With the 2011s, every night in practice, it's like a war because they all want to be the best player. They all want to push each other.
These players have not only grown in the field, but in their mindset, shifting from underdogs to contenders.
In the past, when they wasn't good, it was almost like, we've got to play this team. It's not going to be fun. Now, when they play, their mindset is we can beat anybody that we play against.
These teams are making the Sporting Jacks community and Northeast Florida so proud. Good luck to all Sporting Jacks and Florida Elite players competing this summer.
You know, when you see the players, we saw some of them out there at the League Two game. They're so excited about this opportunity to travel and play in a big tournament. But you hear from the coaches, and you can really hear the love that they're putting into these teams.
Yeah, they're so proud of these players. It was nothing but love when I got to talk to them. So excited for these kids.
The passion for the game and the excitement and some great opportunities for sure. Emerson, thank you. For more on Sporting Jacks and the world of soccer, join Mark Warburton, Stacey Balaam, and me every Tuesday night at 6 on 1010XL. It's the Coaches Show presented by Sporting Jacks. You can listen on air on 1010 AM, online or on demand at 1010XL.com. And be sure to join Mauricio Becky and me every Thursday night at 6 for the Sporting Jacks Soccer Hour. We cover the entire soccer world, including Sporting Jacks and the USL. Thursday nights at 6 on AM 930, Fox Sports Radio Jacksonville, or the iHeart app. Still to come, more on the U.S. men's national team's preparations for next year's World Cup, what Mauricio Pochettino is saying about this summer's Gold Cup. That's next as the Sporting Jacks Report rolls on. You can watch the Sporting Jacks Report every Saturday at 12:30 on NBC 12. You can also find us on demand on First Coast News Plus and the Sporting Jacks YouTube channel.
I think our fans need to see our team fighting and playing and performing and playing well, yes, but fighting for the flag and being, you know, always in every single game match the aggressivity of the opponent. And that is what we want to show in these two friendly games and also after in the Gold Cup.
Now that's what U.S. men's national team head coach Mauricio Pochettino says about not having Christian Pulisic, Weston McKennie, Tim Weah, and others for this summer's Gold Cup. Now, the final product, of course, is what's important, but the momentum is not good right now for the United States just over 12 months from kickoff.
Well, Cole, what Pochettino's talking about is attitude and intensity. It's the way that he coaches. Every single team that he's coached has played with attitude and intensity, and that's how he played as a center back for the Argentina national team. So he expects that from his teams, and that's what he wants to see. Whether Tim Weah, Weston McKennie, or Christian Pulisic are there or not, he wants to see a team with attitude and intensity, a team that plays for the badge, as he mentioned, as to make themselves and to make their country proud of who they are. I see the absence of some of these players as a really good opportunity to solve a problem that we don't have a solution for. Who is going to be our goal scorer? And Christian Pulisic is a good goal scorer. Tim Weah is a good goal scorer. But we still need someone at the top of the Christmas tree. And right now, Josh Sargent had a fantastic year in the Premier League, but he has not been doing it for the national team. So who's going to beat that person for the national team? And maybe at the absence of some of these top names, someone emerges and kind of really takes that mantle as this is going to be my team in the front end. I think we're pretty structured in the back and in the middle, but what does the top of the team formation look like? And who's going to be that number 9 for the U.S. national team come World Cup time in a year?
All right, Mauricio, good stuff. We'll be keeping a close eye on what happens there. A reminder that you can follow Sporting Jacks all the time on our social media channels, on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, where you can subscribe, and on TikTok. Be sure to follow us. So many more big things coming in the next several weeks for Sporting Jacks as we get ready for the opening of training camp in July. Thanks for watching the Sporting Jacks Report. We'll talk to you next week.